This video is for Algebra 2A, extended, actually, that should say. And this is the pre-Unit 1 notes. So this is kind of an introductory unit to Unit 1. So section, what I called 0.1, is solving for y. So solving for a given variable, you need to know how to do. And what it means is that we're using algebra or rearranging the parts of an equation. We will solve for y in all of these problems because that's mainly what you'll do as we're leading up to graphing. So here's my tricks. You will want the equation to look like this. Y on one side, I'll put an example under it, and all the other stuff on the other side. Simplify any fractions if you can. Here's our steps that we're going to do. Circle y to start to remind us what we're solving for. Undo anything that is added or subtracted to y. And what you want to think about for that is find what's furthest from y and get rid of that first. And when I say get rid of, I mean jump it to the other side of the equal sign. And then the last step is undo or jump over the equal sign anything that is multiplied. Sorry, I'm kind of making some noise here. Multiply or divided by y. All right, so here's my first example. Solve each equation for y. So this is what we're starting with. So first step, circle y. So I'm going to work on this over here. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to get alone. I like to think of the equal sign as a wall. So anything on this side of the wall with the y, I want to jump over the wall. So this first thing says, what is added or subtracted to y? So I have 2x plus y. So that would be 2x. Notice it's also the furthest from y. So the first thing I want to do is jump the 2x over the equal sign. The way we jump things over the equal sign is we use algebra. So I want to add the opposite of 2x. The opposite of 2 is negative 2. The opposite of 2x is negative 2x. So I want to add negative 2x to both sides of the equal sign. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other to keep your equation balanced. So 2x minus 2x is 0. On this side of the wall, or the equal sign, I now have y. And on the other side, 0 and 2x are not like terms, so I can't combine those. So what I have is this, 0 minus 2x, but 0 minus 2x is just negative 2x. So then step 2 is what is multiplied or divided by y? Well, if I look at it, it looks like nothing. And really there is an invisible 1 in front of this y that we don't write in algebra. But it's the same as y all by itself. 1y is the same as just y equals negative 2x. So in this example, I'm done because I have y all by itself on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other. So that one's done. All right, let's try some more. Example 2. Here's the example. My camera needs to focus for you there. I have the sun coming in the window here. That's what you're seeing here, which is kind of nice, so let's leave that. All right, circle the y. In this case, I'm going to circle that minus sign in front of it to remind myself that that is really negative 1 times y. Okay, so I'm going to do that here also. Okay, what is added or subtracted to y? Well, this x is. And I'm going to write this negative 1 in here also to remind myself. So the negative 1 is closest to the y. The x is furthest from the y, so I want to undo or jump the x over the equal sign first. So I'm going to add the opposite of positive x, which is negative x. It looks like minusing x from both sides. X minus x is 0. So on the left side, I'm left with negative 1y equals, I cannot combine those because those are not like terms. So I'm going to write it out like this, negative x minus 4. I want you to get in the habit when you write these equations on the right side to put the term with the x first. Okay, now, what is multiplied or divided by the y? Well, that y has a negative 1 in front of it. Up here, when we originally started, it just looked like x minus y, but this always has a 1 in front of it, and if it has a subtraction, then it has a negative 1. So I need to get rid of that negative 1. When I say get rid of, I mean move it to the other side of the equal sign. Negative 1 here is multiplied by y, so to undo multiplication, I divide. And I need to divide everything, every single term, both sides of the equal sign, by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1, so there we go. There's my y by itself. This is also negative 1 divided by negative 1, so that's positive x. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. Negative divided by negative is a positive. If you're not sure, you can punch that into your calculator. Here we go, y all by itself, all the other stuff on the other side. We are done. Okay, example 3 has a fraction in it, no worries. We'll go over what we do when we're undoing a fraction. Notice I took away some of the steps here, but the first step is circle y, all right? So let's start. Oh, it's in a different spot this time. No worries, just circle it. This is why we circle it, so you don't accidentally start solving for x here. Okay, the second step is to ask yourself, what is added or subtracted to the y term? This is the y term. It's whatever's multiplied by the y and the y. Well, what's added or subtracted? This plus 3x. Another way to think about this is what's furthest from the y, the 1/2 or the 3x? The 3x is farther away. So that's what we want to undo first. So to undo positive 3x, I want to minus 3x from both sides. 3x minus 3x is 0. So on the left side, I now have 1/2 y equals, put your x term first, negative 3x plus 1. Now, y is not by itself. I need to see what is multiplied or divided by y. Well, and I can see in this example, what is multiplied by y is 1/2. So what you might be thinking is to undo multiplication, what I want to do is divide. Don't write this yet. But I don't know if you remember back when you were learning about fractions, we really never divide by fractions. What we do is we multiply by the reciprocal. I don't know if I spelled that right. Reciprocal. That means you flip the fraction. Okay, when I teach this when I taught 7th grade and I taught this, I used the phrase keep, change, flip. And what that means is when you are dividing fractions, you keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction. So now, keep, change, flip. Keep, change to multiplication, reciprocal of the second fraction. And then to multiply fractions, you multiply your numerators, multiply your tops, and multiply your denominators, multiply your bottoms. So here, instead of dividing by 1/2, what I want to do is multiply by the reciprocal of 1/2. So if I flip this fraction, I get 2/1. And I want to do that on both sides. Over here, I have to do it, multiply everything by 2/1, so I'm going to put those parentheses and put the 2/1 outside to remind myself to use the distributive property and multiply that 2/1 by both of these. Now here, 2 times 1/2 is just 1, right? Half of 2 is 1. Or if you don't notice that, think, okay, I'm multiplying fractions, multiply my numerators, 2 times 1 is 2. Multiply my denominators, 2 times 1 is 2, and I'm left with that. Well, 2 divided by 2 is just y. So this is the same as 1y. So I'll simplify that there. 2 divided by 2 is 1. All right, now over here, 2 over 1, well, that's just the same as 2, right? So I can think I'm multiplying 2 by everything in the parentheses. So 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x, and 2 times 1 is 2. So let me copy that down here. Okay, so I'm done. Y is all by itself. Okay, now these on the bottom are for you to try. So I recommend you pause the video, try these, and then come back and check your answer. So this one you should have gotten y equals 5x minus 4. And this one you should have gotten, your first step would look like this. And your final answer would look like this. Okay? So that's what you should have gotten for those two. And we've got some more you tries here. I'm going to let you try those on your own, and then you can check those in class. And then the next page is the 0.1 assignment.